What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Packers full 7 round mock draft here on the Fantasy Fellowship channel. My name's Kyle. If you guys are new to the Fantasy Fellowship channel, this is mostly a fantasy football channel, but favorite team is the Packers. So we've been doing some mock drafts. This is 5.0. There's a link to the previous mocks in the description, but this is post free agency. We've added Josh Jacobs, Xavier McKinney, a couple other pieces. So we'll have a little bit more, I think, accurate of a mock draft than we've seen in the previous one. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to use PFF. Their mock draft simulator is one of my favorites. But before we get into the actual mock, let's just kind of reset the table with the Packers depth chart. And what's unfortunate is I haven't seen any updated depth charts showing our new 4-3 base defense. So we'll get to that in a second. But offensively, we like our receivers: Watson, Dobbs, Reed, Wicks. That's a really good top four. I think Melton is going to stick around. Malik Heath showed some pretty nice things. So I like our top 6 or so wide receivers. We can maybe add someone on day 3. At the offensive line position, I think Rasheed Walker is interesting. Like, he can start at left tackle if we needed to. I think they want to upgrade him if they can. Elgton Jenkins, we know, is locked in at left guard. Josh Myers is we could maybe use some competition behind him. He can start, but I wouldn't mind pushing him a little bit with somebody. And then at right guard here, Sean Ryan, this is the spot here. If we're going to upgrade anywhere in the offensive line, this is where I want to upgrade. And then right tackle, Zach Tom, locked in there. Tight end is great. Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft, Tyler Davis was brought back. Quarterback, Love and Clifford, we're good to go. And then running back, man, letting Aaron Jones go. No matter how you feel about it, I understand it sucks losing a player that was just a good person and did so much, and we loved him. But I'm excited for Josh Jacobs. AJ Dillon coming back was kind of a curveball as well. We do have Emmanuel Wilson here. I personally would like to add someone with some explosion to their game here, someone that can bring a little juice to the running back room. I think would be nice. Didn't know we have a fullback on the roster, but we do. And then here's what I'm talking about. They don't have the updated 4-3 defense here, but Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, Jonathan Ford, Colby Wooden. Those are our 6 interior defensive linemen. I would like to get somebody in here to compete with Slayton and Wyatt. And can rotate in. I think Kenny Clark is still a good player, but man, he's getting up there in age. I wouldn't mind investing in a nice defensive lineman prospect. On the edge, we do have left outside linebacker Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Lucas Van Ness, Kingsley Enagbare, Keyshawn Banks, Brenton Cox. So we technically have 3 because Enagbare is injured, but Van Ness, Rashawn, and Preston Smith. It's a good trio for our defensive ends. But I kind of want to bring in someone else to compete with these guys. Preston Smith, don't know how long he's going to stay here. So it's really just Gary and Van Ness, and we don't have any other backup, defensive edge players. So I wouldn't mind one of those. Linebacker is going to be interesting. We have Isaiah McDuffie and Quay Walker. I think those guys are both starting. I don't know who's the middle linebacker. Maybe we draft a pure middle linebacker in this class. We'll look at that in the mock as well. Cornerback, we got Eric Stokes, Jair Alexander. They did bring back Keyshawn Nixon, but I wouldn't mind upgrading the nickel cornerback potentially. Backup corners, Carrington Valentine, Corey Ballantyne. I like those guys. We got a nice little depth spot here, but I think we could maybe, provide some competition for Eric Stokes at CB2, maybe get a slot corner. Safety, obviously McKinney's fantastic. Anthony Johnson Jr. is starting next to him right now. We can maybe plug in a starter in the draft. So that's just a recap here with the depth chart, and let's get right into the video. But I guess real quick before we start that, we're starting to get Packers top 30 visits. They've had in offensive lineman Zach Zinter from Michigan and linebacker Edgerrin Cooper out of Texas A&M. But here we go. We're going to start the mock draft here, PFF simulator. We're going to hit start, and I'm not going to do any trades or anything like that. I might get into that, when we get into April, but it's March 17th right now. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Let's kick this off and have fun here. Pick 25, we were on the board. We're looking at Jerzon Newton, Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton, Tyler Nubin, Peyton Wilson, Adonai Mitchell, Zach Fraser. These are some of the top names here on the board. I think if this is the way the board falls, and it looks like we just missed out on Tyler Guyton. I've seen him popular. He's a popular mock draft pick. He can play left tackle for us if we want. I'm looking at Jerzon Newton, Jackson Powers Johnson, Graham Barton. Probably not going to go Tyler Nubin round 1 here. I do like Peyton Wilson. There's a chance one of these guys could fall to us round 2. I can look at that next here. But, what do you do here? I really like Newton. He's a guy that can come in and maybe beat out Devonte Wyatt and just be a force on the defensive line. We're trying to kind of wreak havoc up there. He's been one of the top rated players here. He had a fantastic 2023 season. His best year was 2022. He's like 90th percentile in most of these grades here, I guess, or towards the edge here. So I like what we're looking at. Mostly a B gap player over the tackle last year. He can play A and B gap. 8 sacks, man, from a defensive lineman last year. This is interesting. 6'2", 295. Newton has some physical limitations due to his size and lack of natural flexibility, but his hand usage, pass rush tools, and block shedding ability allow him to be a very productive player in any alignment as a 3 to 5 technique player. So, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. I'm kind of interested, and maybe defensive line's not a huge need. It does say DL here is our second biggest need. They've removed running back from the need, so that's kind of nice here. Jackson Powers Johnson could come in. He's a center last year. He did play right guard. He can be moved to the right guard. Pass block grades elite. If you guys wanted to just plug in someone and say, hey, okay, here's our starting right guard. He can be a future center for us. Offers a lot of versatility. I'm very open to this pick as well. But I think, and again, it's just a mock draft. We're just having fun here. Graham Barton could play right tackle for us. I'm going to get the defensive lineman here off the board. I'm offering something different here from most mock drafts that I've seen. If Jerzon Newton falls here, I do want to let's actually look up RAS scores real quick. Let's see what Newton was able to provide from the RAS department. Wait for it to load. And if he had a good RAS score, it's going to be a check mark, I think, for Gutekunst. So let's go to 2024. And we'll go to defensive tackle. Okay. Rook Aurora up at the top of the list. Mason Smith, Byron Murphy. Is he? Did I miss him? Let's see if we can find Newton. Johnny Newton. Johnny Newton. Interesting. He doesn't have anything in here yet. Alrighty, so we'll get an RAS score later. I'm just going to do something different here and go with the big defensive lineman. And Jackson Powers Johnson is a tough one to pass on. I don't know if we need to draft a right guard in the first round here. So we grab defensive lineman round 1. Round 2, we get the guys to fall to us that we're looking for. Tyler Nubin, Peyton Wilson. I like both guys a lot. I've seen Tyler Nubin ranked as the top safety on the board for the last couple months. Peyton Wilson's been the top linebacker the past couple of months, and he had a fantastic year last year. He did play some defensive line snaps last year, which was interesting, but pretty stout run grade defense, elite coverage grade here. This looks like a guy that could be a really nice opportunity for us. So Wilson has the length, movement, ability, IQ, and tape of a first-round linebacker. What will likely keep him from being drafted on day one is his injury history and age. If healthy, he can be a starting inside linebacker in any defense. Trends, he kind of peaked here at pick 25-ish, and he's starting to come back down. So yeah, that's all kind of saying the same thing. So he missed time due to injuries at NC State, but when on the field, he proved to be one of the best defenders in college football. His 6'4" frame gives him plus pass rush ability up the middle and around the edge. Despite his knee injuries, he is very fluid for his size, both in coverage and as a pass rusher. That allows him to match and mirror tight ends and running backs, as well as cover a lot of ground in the spot dropping assignments. He can recognize where the flow ball is going and has the pursuit speed to be impactful. He also has great ball skills for a linebacker. So Peyton Wilson, let's see if Peyton Wilson checks any boxes on the list here. You got a pretty elite RAS score here of 9.8. That looks pretty good to me. I don't know if Tyler Nubin ran any drills on the combine here, so his is incomplete. I like Nubin, but I like some safeties later. I'm going to grab Peyton Wilson here. Get us a linebacker. They can figure out who the middle linebacker is going to be. I'll give them the opportunity there. So we grab Jerzon Newton, defensive lineman, and we just grabbed a linebacker to start this Packers mock draft off. At pick 58, we're back on the board here. Penix, Jermaine Burton, Jonah Ellis, Omegdeje, the tackle out of Yale. This guy is really interesting to me. Only 4 games played last year. I'd have to look into the injury history, but he played left tackle, and a little bit of left guard. Hasn't allowed any sacks in the last 14 games. Huge, 6'5", 318. Projecting a player to go from the FCS level to the NFL level as a starter is tricky, but Amegbijie has the tools and tape to be worthwhile investment in the top 50 as a starting caliber tackle or guard. Amegbijie looks like a future pro on film when standing next to FCS level competition, and when the ball is snapped, he plays like it. 6'5", 325-pound frame, can succeed at tackle, although he also started at guard for 1 season at Yale. I'm kind of interested here. And he was peaking around pick 40 back in late January, February, but it looks like he's now on the rise. And look at that, most drafted by Packer mock drafts, 19% Packer mock drafts. So we're getting a guy that can come in and compete at left tackle, or we can plug him in at right guard. That interests me quite a bit. If we wanted like a true right guard, a guy that can just motor people down, it's Christian Haynes. He's a 3-year starter at UConn, only given up 3 sacks in his career. Elite zone grade here. Gap grade's fine. Pass block grade's pretty good. Run block grade is pretty good here too. I'm kind of interested in here. Haynes showed in his tape and at the Senior Bowl that he has starting potential measurables and traits at guard in the NFL. His best work comes on the move, which would bode well for a zone blocking scheme and as a puller for man gap schemes. 6'2", 313. If we want to plug in a right guard, I think Christian Haynes is a guy that can come in and be our starting right guard right away. If you didn't want to take the project from Yale here, Amegbijie, which I get it, to me, right guard's a little bit more of a need than Rasheed Walker. So I'm gonna upgrade here with Christian Haynes. I do see some good buzz on Jaden Hicks, another safety that we can plug in on the back end. But I'm gonna get us a right guard, starting right guard here. So far we're off to a defensive lineman start, linebacker, and Christian Haynes, the starting right guard for the Packers. Round 3, pick 88, Jalen Wright on the board. Oh my goodness. I talked at the beginning about wanting explosive, running backs. This doesn't get more explosive than this. His elusive rating was almost off the charts. Gap grade and zone grade are both pretty good. His rushing grade was elite. Now, Tennessee, they're a passing offense, so he had to play in a lot of light boxes, but dude breaks off huge plays. He's got a little bit of Aaron Jones to his game, honestly, when you watch his tape. He can kind of go in a flash here. He is 5'11", 210. I think this would be a dream fit. If he's the number 2 back with Josh Jacobs as early as this year, I think A.J. Dillon is fine, but I don't want to give A.J. Dillon a bunch of touches. I think Jalen Wright could be, that'd be the thunder and lightning approach to Josh Jacobs. So I'm gonna run that pick in here. Jalen Wright at pick 88. Maybe Tampa Bay and Arizona steal it, but I'm gonna go Jalen Wright off the board here. He'll compete for RB2 carries. Pick number 91. We do need a cornerback, and I've heard a lot of good buzz on Rutgers' Max Melton. He is the brother of our receiver, Bo Melton. Coverage grade's fine. Run defense, his grades are not elite or anything. He is a 3-year starter, though, that improved each year, primarily an outside corner. And again, I mentioned wanting kind of get some cornerback depth here. 6 foot 190. Melton is an intriguing cornerback prospect because the slot might be his best role in the NFL. He does bring a lot of experience on the outside, though. Melton projects as a priority day 3 pick with inside-outside versatility. I don't know about a day 3 pick here, but projecting him to play in the slot, he could come in and compete with Keyshawn Nixon, which I like a lot. Renardo Green, another cornerback that I like quite a bit. He is a really elite man coverage cornerback, primarily an outside guy. So if we're looking for an outside corner, Green, Melton, these guys make a lot of sense here. If I didn't take Christian Haynes earlier, Christian Mahogany is another guy that makes sense at right guard. We're not taking Javon Baker or Bucky Irving or Trey Benson or any of these running backs here. Dominic Puny here, the tackle from Kansas. He's a left tackle and a left guard. Didn't give up a single sack in 25 games. An elite pass block grade of 90.4. Zone grade, gap grade are above average. This looks interesting. Puny is much improved from 2022 to 2023, and if he continues on his current trajectory, he has the power, profile, and size to earn a rotational role at guard with starting potential. Interesting. 6'5", 320. His power best projects to guard. Okay, so we already plugged in that right guard spot. Maybe we'll kind of leave him off the list. Other players in this range here, we could look for safety again. I really like Dadrian Taylor Demerson. He was the fastest safety in the 40-yard dash at the combine. 3-year starter, just above average in every stat. Basically, he plays kind of all over, slot, box, deep. This is a very versatile, speedy safety. His first look, 5'11", 195. I don't have any notes on him, but look at that, the most drafted by the Packers here. So if we want an exciting secondary piece, I feel okay with our cornerback depth. Jair, we got Stokes, Nixon can play a little bit. We got Ballantyne and Valentine back there. I'm going to grab another safety here to potentially start for the Packers. Dadrian Taylor Demerson will be my pick. So heavy defense so far. We got a starting defensive lineman, a starting linebacker. We got maybe a starting safety. We got a starting right guard, and we got a rotational piece at running back. Now, I did plug in, the right guard with Haynes from UConn. If I wanted to wait, though, this guy, I don't know why he's falling so hard, but this guy is really freaking good. Cooper Beebe. And I've seen him, on a lot of people's lists. He's been a popular Packers mock draft pick, I believe. His trends right now, 9% to the Packers, 17% to the Bears. But his football IQ should lead to a long NFL career. Unfortunately, his athletic limitations will likely limit that career to just a backup swing lineman. Interesting. He's a versatile piece. We can put him, in the stable and see if he can compete and be a starter at some point here. A popular pick for me I just keep clicking Mohamed Kamara, the edge rusher here. He's been kind of a staple in all my mock drafts. He's a small school, Colorado State Rams, but he's an elite outside edge rusher, basically off the boards, just off the charts here with pass rush win rate, athletic player. He's small, 6'1", 250, but he's speed. So he's kind of just been a lock for me. Round 4. If I wanted to deviate from the plan, I think Trey Benson should have been off the board. Cooper Beebe maybe at the right guard spot here. I like Isaac Garendo. Let me look at this Cedric Gray, this linebacker here out of UNC. They got any analysis on him? A lot of Packers are mocking Cedric Gray here. So if we wanted another linebacker opportunity, that is kind of there. But man, Mohamed Kamara, Bears, Vikings, Texans have been looking at him. I'm going to bring him in. We'll get another edge rusher here, and we're moving around now. We're into the 5th round. Pick 169. This is a comp pick that we have. Looking around here, this is where it gets a little interesting because now we're looking at just rotational depth pieces here. So Drake Nugent, a center from Michigan, a 3-year starting center. I don't know if he can move to left or right guard here. His stock is actually kind of falling over the last few months. Drafted a lot by the NFC North teams. He's a 3-year starter. He can play center. I'm sure he can move into guard. He's got really nice blocking grades here. I wouldn't mind just getting a backup center / guard piece that could come in and compete. Walter Rouse out of Oklahoma here. Elite pass block grades, but his zone grade, his gap grade are slightly, something to be more desired. But he's a 3-year starter at Oklahoma at left tackle. Gave up 0 sacks last year. Pretty good season. Is there any analysis on him? Trends, they got a lot of people taking him by the Packers. For me, I'm open. These are the 2 of the top 3 players available on the board here. So I'm cool with a backup center, or we get Rouse here to compete with Rasheed Walker at left tackle. So I'll grab the left tackle here, and we'll move on to the 6th round. Pick number 202, Eric All still on the board. Jalen Green, an edge rusher. Hunter Nurzad, center out of Penn State. Center, left guard, and some right tackle experience. He had his best year last year as a center, 0 sacks. Run block grade's pretty strong. Zone grade, very strong. Gap grade, above average. Pass block grade, below average, but I think he can learn how to do that. 6'3", 315. I think there's kind of a trend that I'm doing with this draft is I want to bolster the offensive line for Jordan Love and these weapons that we have on offense to move the ball. But I also need to grab some players on defense. And we've added defensive players at every level. We got Jerzon Newton, defensive lineman. We got an edge rusher, Mohamed Kamara. We got a starting linebacker, and we got a starting potentially starting safety. So we're hitting all the major areas of need here. If we wanted to do something fun, we could. Steele Chambers here doesn't have a very good outlook. His grades are not very good either. Trends, a lot of Steelers and Packers players are taking him. Linebacker at Ohio State, maybe. Julian Pearl, Illinois. Left tackle, we just kind of grabbed one, so maybe not. Frank Gore Jr., Javion Cohen. Hunter Nerzad here. This guy's interesting. Can he, in Steelers, Bills, Packers are drafting him. He's got versatility here. He was not successful at left guard in 2022. He was successful at right tackle in 2021 as a freshman. So that interests me a little bit here. He's got a lot of snaps. Big Ten offensive lineman, man. We always kind of find, guys in this at this stage of the draft. So I'm going to grab one more offensive lineman and we'll call it good. So we got a left tackle, we got a right guard, and now I'm plugging in a potential center / more guard depth here for us, and we'll be good there for hopefully the next 3-4 years. One more pick in the 6th round here. Jalen Green, edge rusher out of James Madison, highly productive player, but it's a small school. If we wanted to take another project edge rusher, this could be it. He's got pretty nice grades here. First look is 6'1", 245. Green comes in a compact build that limits where you can play him as an edge rusher, but he's a feisty player who consistently plays with good natural leverage. You don't want to make a living betting on size outliers, but pending recovery from knee surgery, he can be a good depth player. Okay, so just another backup edge rusher. Jalen Ford, the Texas linebacker here, he's a 3-year starter, mostly a box safety here. His coverage grade's pretty bad, but his run defense grade is pretty good. And I think at this point, you're kind of just looking for, some special teams type players at linebacker that can kind of come in and contribute. 6'3", 242. His grades are okay. I really don't like the coverage grade. But that run defense grade looks really good. Maybe they can do something with that. Another safety down here, cornerback AJ Woods out of Pittsburgh. These numbers don't look really good. We'll pass on that. Marcellus Dial, South Carolina. He had a good year last year as an outside cornerback here. Man coverage grade solid, zone coverage grade above average. This actually looks okay. 6'0", 195. Cowboys, Vikings, Raiders have been on him. Interesting. Marcellus Dial, South Carolina. But otherwise, who's this Curtis Jacobs here? I think I'm just going to grab that linebacker up here from Texas, and we'll add some depth there to the linebacking position and get some special teams. So a guy that can tackle, maybe can learn some coverage. But either way, round 7, we have a couple picks in this round here. Let's make it count. Eric All, nobody's drafting the athletic tight end out of Iowa, but we're up to pick again. Jalen Green's falling, man. He should have been picked a long time ago. The James Madison Dukes. We'll grab another edge rusher here. And I think, do we have one more pick or two? This is our final pick here. So I've been taking this Dallas Gant a lot, a highly productive player out of Toledo, elite coverage grade, elite run defense grade. I could see us just taking more swings at linebacker here. We already grabbed 2. I don't know if we would do it again. Khaled Duke out of Kansas State, a tackle, an edge rusher. We're kind of in whatever we want territory at this point. We have so many picks. Jared Wiley, the tight end. We can maybe grab a receiver this deep here. Pediatric Griffin, a stretcher. Brevin Spann-Ford, defensive lineman Gabe Hall, Carson Steele. I mean, at this point, it is whatever. I'm kind of cool with just taking Dallas Gant and saying let's get some linebacking special teams players and see what they can do. So, I mean, at that point, the end of the draft, you're just grabbing guys to kind of come in and compete for the summer. So let's take a look and review my draft here. Round 1, we grabbed Jerzon Newton. PFF Big Board got him number 11. So I think he can come in and immediately day 1, he doesn't have to start for us. He can kind of come in and compete and rotate with Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt and Slayton. Peyton Wilson, pick 41. PFF Big Board got him at 26. He's a starting linebacker, whether it's middle or one of the outside spots for us in the 4-3 defense. Christian Haynes, our starting right guard, pick number 58 for us. He's 64th on the big board here. Jalen Wright, he's not a starting running back for us this year with Josh Jacobs, but he's going to come in and be a little bit of a change of pace guy, someone that can do some big big opportunities for big plays with Jalen Wright. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, Texas Tech, potentially a starting safety or a guy that we can move around, put him in the slot, do some fun things with him. Mohamed Kamara, edge rusher out of Colorado State in round 4. Walter Rouse, Oklahoma. He could be a left tackle for us, or he could, come in and push other positions as well. They really like his grade, A- here. Hunter Nurzad, a potential starting center or a guy that can kind of come in and compete at guard. Jalen Ford, linebacker out of Texas. Jalen Green, edge rusher out of James Madison, and Dallas Gant, Toledo. We got a B+. So overall, I think I'm happy with this. Getting playmakers on the defensive side of the ball is a priority. Newton, Wilson, and Demerson. These are 3 guys that can contribute in 2024. Offensively, Haynes will contribute. Jalen Wright will contribute. And then, you're kind of taking swings down here. Can Kamara come in and pass rush in key spots? Can Walter Rouse and Hunter Nurzad come in and push guys? Or could they maybe start for us at some point? And then the linebackers here, Jalen Ford, Dallas Gant, can they be special teams contributors? Could they maybe push Isaiah McDuffie for a spot? And then Jalen Green, the edge rusher here. So I like the depth. There's kind of a focus point to this mock draft where offensive line was a priority, and just getting a bunch of players on defense as we fill in this new 4-3. So there you have it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I had a lot of fun making this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, like the video, all that good stuff. And thank you for your time, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.